Well, hello, NFT NYC community. Welcome to another conversation. As many of you know, I've done about 500 or more of these in the last several years. And for me, it's a wonderful opportunity to find out all the cool things that are happening right this second. And so I always enjoy bringing our kind of VIP speakers to each of you. And but we're not talking to the camera. We're just going to have a conversation, and you're welcome to join us. So, my friend, thank you for jumping in. For those that don't know much about you or your company, why don't you give us a bit of background before we start chit-chatting back and forth?
Hey, thank you for having me today. Hello,
Yes.
everyone. So I'm Velleyen. So I'm the founder of Enephtys, which is like basically a consulting firm helping Web2 bring it to Web3, mostly based in France. Maybe you have seen Lacoste and Underwater. So we are behind this project. And on the side, I'm the author of a book named Crypto Revolution that creates the gap between CeFi and DeFi. And we try to explain how the volatility of the volume of dollars have an impact on SP 500, which has an impact on Bitcoin. And we see that finally our space that we think is decentralized, that don't have a link with the actual world, is still really impacted by the decision of the Fed, for example.
Right now, there is a revolution going on in France. And, you know, those good French people, they're always good for a revolution. Every 20, 30, 40 years, they're revolting. So once again, a revolt has begun. When you look at the experience that people have in a place like France, maybe compared to a place that doesn't often have revolutions, we'll take, Canada as an example. How do you think that impacts projects? So when you're consulting a project that's based out of Europe, specifically the country of France, how do you think their culture impacts the project compared to if you were working with somebody, say, in a peaceful part of America or Canada or somewhere where they are not dealing with these cultural and political revolutions?
I think like you're right. Like it's in the culture of French people for years and for years to bring revolution, to go out in the street and make them heard to people. What do they think?
Yeah.
To be honest, on the business side, I would not say that it's the people and the culture of revolution that can bring restraint, but it's more the regulation, because France
Okay.
is known to be one of the countries that bring more regulation and mostly around our space, around
Yeah.
Web3 space globally. So I feel that the challenges will be specifically here. Even when you say that those past days, on one side with the revolution that is going on, and on the other side, you have the government that want to pass a law that don't allow any influencer that is paid to speak about crypto and Web3. So it's kind of crazy because you could like kill the chicken and the egg, in a way,
Right.
by passing such a law.
When you work on projects, people come bring projects to you. You can't say yes to everything. You have to be selective. So what type of projects really get your attention? Because people are going to come to NFT NYC, they're going to find out and understand the type of strength that you can bring to companies and brands. And they're going to say, well, we want to work with you guys. And so how do you select the type of projects to consider? What really makes a project or a company or a brand stand out?
If I really go deep in full transparency, I think the most important thing is to understand that Web3 is not just an activation. Web3 is a new journey, right? As
Yeah.
to launching a social media, whatever. So I like to say, like, independently of the resources you have, the asset you're ready to put today inside your Web3 project, that could be supply chain, NFT, metaverses, CRM, whatever. For me, from the moment that the people you're speaking with, they understand that they need to have a roadmap on a year and that they are going to be in this space in 5 years, that's good enough. Even if at the beginning you fail, that's okay, right? Builders has always failed to create new protocols, to build on top and to be able to bring technology and innovation to our space. So for me, the most important fact is to understand that from the moment you start to get in, don't see it as an activation. See it as a new journey that is coming along with you.
When you look at what your clients are doing, existing, what type of things are you telling them to stop doing? What are you saying? Hey, no, you guys got to stop doing that. that's a very old model that doesn't really work here, or you need to stop doing that. You think that's smart because you saw it in the media, or you heard somebody on Rug Radio, or you heard somebody give a talk at NFT NYC. You think that's a good idea? Bad idea. Landmine. Don't do that. What are you kind of telling your clients to be cautious of moving forward?
I think I can have like two specific examples. First one is like really operational example, but like for NFT, for example, public sales, I tell them we don't want to do that. And that's because of the regulation part, right? Because nowadays, with all the regulation coming around in France and in Europe, which is called the MiCA law coming on, you may have issues where you need to be able to track on chain everybody that bought your NFT on the primary market and make sure that their AML, so anti-money laundering framework, those people didn't get through Tornado Cash, or didn't use the money for terrorism, or didn't buy drugs, or didn't buy arms. So that's the first one. We are very careful because today it's not a problem, but 5 years from now, government's going to knock to your door as a company, right? And say, oh, can I check where are the funds coming from your first NFT? And you say, oh yeah, we don't know really. That's a problem. Second one is that even if you're a Web2 company, you should innovate and act as a Web3 pure player. So if I can take a specific example, and in the case of NFT NYC, I think it's the great example. I feel for a brand, it will be so much more powerful to organize a party, right? A night event like we used to do in cryptos, with crypto people, just getting out, getting lit, enjoying, having fun, that to go and do a speech and a talk, for example. To be honest, like fully honest with you, if tomorrow I need to counsel, I prefer to say, okay, guys, let's bring 200 people, invite them, give them drink, give them food all night long, do DJ, and people have fun. That to come and like pitching what they do or what we are doing right now.
Yeah.
It match more the philosophy, I think, you know?
How about compliance? Let's go deeper on compliance. You're going to be speaking at NFT NYC. I mean, there's a lot of things we could have you come share, but you opted in to take on the task of talking about compliance. It's an expert talk. You're giving it Friday morning, right when we open up the stage, really. And compliance challenges for brands launching NFT projects. So maybe you could give a little preview of what you're going to talk about that specific talk, but also around the general issue of compliance and the brand's perspective.
Yeah. So first of all, like compliance is like an umbrella word, right? You can put like many different things behind.
Right.
So for me, I put aside on one side, what is compliance for lawyer? So compliance for lawyer for me is like defining what type of asset is your NFT, for example. So R, ST or whatever. Defining the way you can communicate. So that part is really for lawyer. We are not lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, but there is another part. This other part is about how could you manage between custodial and non-custodial? Do you want to go to a broker? If you're owning your own fund, let's say on the multisig, how do you operate them? How do you make sure that people understand? How do you create the wallet architecture that makes sense with, we're coming back to the first subject, AML framework? And when you start to dive inside it, you understand that applying AML framework will change everything in your operation, from the way you do a drop design to the way you manage the funds and the specific wallets involved in operation. If we take an example, for me, if you're a brand and you do an NFT operation, you need at least 4 wallets. One wallet that is gathering the primary fee, one that is gathering the secondary fee because you don't want to mix it up, one that owns your ENS, because you don't want your digital identity to be mixed with your funds, right? And one that will be in a broker, because at the moment you may want to swap your fund and you don't want to go to Uniswap as a brand and have like huge spread, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, that makes quite a bit of sense. When you listen to people regarding compliance, what do you listen to? Like, how do you get your modern information? Is there a specific person or a specific news site or a Twitter account or a specific Discord channel that you're a part of? And where should other people be looking in terms of getting the right information? And is there any sources that you think people need to be aware of, right? Don't really turn here for information around compliance. It's not helpful. They're behind, they're backdated, or they're not really doing the research. But give us an idea of, if we want to do our own research around compliance, where's some good places to start?
I think the good place to start is to KYT suppliers, as Miracle Science, Score Chain Analysis. There is a bunch of them. There's like 10 of them. I think starting there is a starting point. So to understand how does it work on chain, how are you able on chain to track and understand the scoring of a wallet? I think really the beginning is there. After, in terms of news and feeding yourself with knowledge, I think like so the two specific part I spoke about compliance, they need you to understand, of course, compliance, but also accountability, also finance, and also deep knowledge of blockchain itself on how it works. So that's why I feel nowadays it's still like the niche of the niche, you know, a bit like ZKP, for example. You
Right.
know, we know the world, but we don't exactly know how it works because it's pure mathematics.
Yeah.
And in our space nowadays, there is only few bunch of people that really understand how this shit is going on. But
Right.
we know that it's going to revolutionize our world, right?
That's right. Well, as we wrap, I want to ask about the process when your clients ask you to do some things around AI in collaboration with Web3. So let me frame it this way. I started producing events in 2017, and I started producing the future of AI events and the future of blockchain events. And at that time, blockchain was coming off of the hype cycle of the ICOs. It was crashing, and it was like full disillusionment. And AI was exploding because of Alexa and Google Assistant and Siri. Now, over the last 5-6 years, AI crashed, and now it's come back up and reemerged. And crypto basically went through a peak with NFTs a couple of years ago, has crashed again. And so these peaks and cycles, what happens with our clients, if we're doing consulting for an agency of some sort, is they always want to chase the new thing. And so they might say, oh, no, not NFTs. That's not hot anymore. We want to do something with Chat GPT 3, 4, whatever it is that they're coming to you with. How do you deal with this? Because I imagine it's a common thing. How do you keep people focused on the fact that digital assets, NFTs, smart contracts are inevitable? They need to pursue it regardless of what the media says about it. And everything in the AI world isn't maybe as shiny as it first appears.
I think that's a really great question, like an insider question that you're asking me right now. So, you know, I think it's always about like finding the middle between corporate process and Web3 agility, right?
Right.
So nowadays, when there are like AI question that is rising, so the way we work on that is like to limit the risk. So I always think about what's the risk we're going to take and what is going to come back. Yeah. What I feel that is really great with AI nowadays, when you have a community, you can make really people create together, right? If we take Midjourney, for example, everyone say a world and then we create an art, right? But there is also challenges. So when this question kicks in, we try to find the MVP that make that we use AI, but by limiting all the risk that could be encountered by intellectual property reuse by after.
Yes. Well, that's a good approach to it. Yeah, you know, I understand the agency model because I have run a couple agencies. My first job 25 years ago was at the first digital agency in Silicon Valley, and so I understand like how these things are hard to tackle when you're trying to serve your clients well and take them to over this like long perspective. You know, keep you on retainer, provide value to them, and things of that nature. Well, I certainly am grateful that you jumped in with me. I try to keep these fairly short. So any final words for us before we land this plane?
Yeah, I would say like years coming on, Web3 is going to be more and more mainstream. So in a way, we're going to lose and more the first stuff that brings us them. That was like being decentralized, being free, not wearing suit and tie. But like even in 10 years, when our world will be corporatized in a way, right? And be processed, don't forget deep in your heart, why did you came to the space first?
That's a wonderful last word. Friends, come join us at NFT NYC April 12th through 14th if you're not already planning on it. And take a look at this talk happening Friday morning. Compliance challenges for brands launching NFT projects. If you're watching this video, thank you very much for your attention. We appreciate it. And I will come back very soon with another one of these types of conversations. And until then, have a very happy day, everybody.
Thank you.